Today we're going over the Askr's Kin Tempest Trials Part 1. This will kick off a long-term side plot revolving around Book 6. We'll start off with Sharana and Ash patrolling around due to news about other Askr kingdoms being under attack. Right on schedule, a mysterious person appears asking for the whereabouts of Lord Askr. This person, who is definitely not Ash, is called Melíai, or Melíai. From past book-focused Tempest Trials, Melíai probably will be playable. She is a green armored beast, and her weapon basically combines the skills of Ash and Lord Askr. Melíai has Ash's guidance for warping and gets a 2-space warp around allies herself. For buffing, she has Askr's resonance blades and shields plus times pulse support. If allies can stay near her, she even gives them times pulse force, -1 cooldown after combat. Now for her own combat, Melíai inflicts attack and defense debuffs, has Askr's 20% defense scaling true damage and flat damage reduction. Technically, Ash also has that after her refine. Melíai will then have Sling and times pulse force quit on herself. I have a feeling we know what Lord Askr is going to get when his refine comes around. So far, I would say Melíai is giving up some comic potential for her warping and buffing utility. She doesn't seem that crazy compared to like other premium armors, but obviously she can come with a unique passive or special and things can change from there. I guess we'll have to wait and see and what becomes of Melíai over the next half a year. Seems like it's pretty safe to say we'll probably encounter a new Embla related character as well. Onto the actual Tempest Trials rewards. As usual, you can get up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. If you score the maximum 50,000 points, you can earn Ephemeris 7 divine codes and Normal 6 divine codes thanks to Emblem Micaiah. For secret seals, we got Attack and Defense Link and Speed and Res Rain. The reward unit is Summer Balthus to complete the Summer Ash and Wolves lineup. You can earn a 4-star and 5-star copy. We'll talk about Balthus more later on. Our first Secret Seal is Attack and Defense Link 3. If a movement assist is used by unit or target's unit, grant +6 attack and defense to unit and that ally. This is the first Link B skill turn Secret Seal, and it's honestly not a bad buffing option. It does require you to use an action, but we did just get Emblem Micaiah's Ring, which can allow for extra actions after assisting. This can also apply to Hathorn's Divine Nectar status, and there are various other units who can get extra actions themselves. Now give them this Link Secret Seal for more supporting buffs. For budget builds, you can now run double Link skills. Speed and Res Link is on a couple free-to-play units in the B slot. That would allow a unit to buff all 4 stats at the cost of an assist. If you want to combo buffs with debuffs, you can also pair Link with Snag or Detect B skills. Definitely an interesting new seal. It's not really OP or anything, but field buffing options are a bit lacking sometimes. Having more way to apply buffs is good, especially if you want a more supportive unit. Our second Secret Seal is Speed and Res Rain 3. For foes within 2 spaces, they're inflicted with -4 speed and res in combat. Rain skills can debuff foes that allies are fighting. This will require close positioning from your flyers though. Now you don't have the extended range of the premier Crux debuffs. For personal combat, we have higher stat boosting options, but you can double up on Speed and Res Rain if you wish to take advantage of the debuffing zone. Bridal Lana recently gave us a C skill version. Like the other Rain Secret Seals, pretty much upgrade this one if you want. Not related to the Tempest Trials, but in Update 9.7, you can get Squad Ace CR from the 96 Squad Assault. This grants +5 HP and +3 defense and res as flat stats. If you want to bulk up your tanks, this is a pretty nice seal. It is the same as Squad Ace BX and CH.
Isn't this the best? The crashing waves, the white sand, the summer outfits.
The undisputed king of grappling still cannot grab one Fae, so Summer Balthus has instead picked up the lance. This Balthus is a rarer lance infantry. For stats, he's got 47 HP, 49 attack, 31 speed, 45 defense, and 26 res. Balthus has excellent HP attack and defense with an attack super boom. This will come at the cost of an awkward 31 base speed and a not that amazing 26 base res. You can try to salvage Balthus's res with a super boon, but he might just get doubled, so yeah. Balthus will be able to double slower tanks himself, which can be useful, but it is an uphill battle against anyone investing in speed. This is a stat spread that could utilize Frozen well, but that's not exactly the easiest effect to find. For his weapon, Balthus has the Osseous Trident Plus. This inheritable 14 might lance states, if unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grant +5 to all stats, deal true damage equal to X, and get flat damage reduction equal to 50% of X. This X value is the highest total field buffs among unit and allies within 2 spaces. Osseous Trident should sound familiar because its true damage and flat DR based on field buffs effect is also in Summer Igdenir. Unfortunately, the Trident can only borrow buffs from allies within 2 spaces, it can borrow from within 3 spaces. Generally speaking, this isn't a bad weapon. With full +6 field buffs, you got 24 total buffing, that's 24 true damage and 12 flat DR. You essentially have a treachery true damage weapon, and you can borrow field buffs from allies just in case your buffs get neutralized. Because low is fairly common on various units, Osseous Trident is kinda risky to use for longer range initiations. Move too far from allies and the entire weapon could be useless. You could also lose your field buffs to panic, try to avoid that if possible. Now if you're able to keep your buffs intact or you can borrow from your allies, this can be a fun simple weapon. As usual, try to get field buffs for all first stats, and consider teaming up with Ignitor since he gives +3 to all active buffs. If you got Anniversary Dual Marth, he can give +7 field buffs and no panic. With Ignitor also on the team, that's a potential 40 true damage and 20 flat DR, yeesh. Before we move on, we gotta admire the big shark in Balthus' special art, not sure if it's trying to eat him or the enemy. For the rest of his kit, Balthus comes with Smite. Technically, Smite could push allies out of Osseous Trident's buffing barring range. It also would technically deny the activation of Attack and Defense Oath, which requires an adjacent ally to get +5 field buffs. For a new free-to-play skill offering, Balthus does get Attack and Defense Bulwark. Bulwark's main job is to stop high mobility units from getting around your front line. For combat, it just inflicts -4 attack and defense and heals 7 HP after. That's alright, but obviously it's not anything crazy. If you want to merge Balthus up, the neutral nature will give a +1 HP attack and defense, nothing wrong with that, but you can also go for a little extra attack with the super boon. It may not be his best stats, but you can also get a res super boon to balance out Balthus' defensive spread. For free-to-play Lance Infantry comparisons, we are really starting to fill out this class type. Still pretty rare, but we got some recent options that are nice to build up. In terms of defense, Balthus isn't really that special. Johanna's Saber and Ninja Saizo have high defense stats and much more speed. A lot of Balthus' bulk will be in his HP stats. If you want a high res option where you're still respectable defense, then Nabata Hawkeye is our min-max low speed option. Lance units typically sacrifice res, so Hawkeye could have a better shot at taking a magical hit. He will get doubled often, but so will Balthus. All the other free-to-play Lance fighters are a good bit faster. You can try to invest in speed for Balthus, but that's an uphill battle unless you plan to use something like Frozen for its speed roll altering effects. Now where Balthus does specialize is attack. I believe he does tie for highest attack Lance unit in the game, along with some other 5-star Lance armors. If you just want as much damage as possible, Balthus can be your guy. While the Heroic Grail Lance Infantry group has steadily been growing, we still only have 3 Lance Infantry demotes. Lucas was the only addition, and that was still in year 1. Now funnily, Balthus fits kinda right in with these guys with his low 30 speed. Compared to Donald, he may lose some HP and res, but Balthus has superior attack and defense. A maxed out Resplendent Lucas kinda has similar defense and res, but trades attack for HP. Unless you want to max out the super old Gen 1 units, Summer Balthus is kinda just a modern version of this type of stat spread. For builds, Balthus can stick with most of his base kit, stay next to an ally every turn to get +5 attack and defense. That turns into 10 true damage and 5 flat DR with Osseous Trident. If you want a follow-up, you can use good old Quick Repose as a seal. Keeping Bulwark can ensure enemies stay in front of Balthus, but obviously he's not going to be tanking magical damage as well. For some alterations, you could use Speed and Res Oath as a Sacred Seal. Balthus can then get +5 to all stats, that's 20 true damage and 10 flat DR, and kinda self-sufficient. You can then replace Bulwark with Quick Repose. While old skills are nice, ideally Balthus wants to have field buffs on himself and allies. You can do this better with a dedicated team buffer, but we can create a new buffing build with that attack and defense link Sacred Seal. Slot that in with Speed and Res link in the B slot, swap over to an assist like Swap or Reposition, and now Balthus can give himself and one ally +6 to all stats. That's 24 true damage, 12 flat DR, plus you can borrow from your ally if needed. This is going to push out Quick Repose though. If you want to retain that follow-up, you can also run something like Attack and Defense Oath, run Speed and Res Link, and use Quick Repose as a seal. For other skills, Balthus can use Attack and Defense Finish, although you only get the most out of it if you can charge a special with say a Breath Sacred Seal. Since we're going for a stat-heavy playstyle, low attack and defense can mess with enemy buffing, and bonus doubler in the A slot and Sacred Seal slot can be fun. With his high base HP, Balthus could run Panic Ploy as well. For allies, any version of Ignitor will be nice just to add the +3 to any field buff active. From the other Summer Ashen Wolves, here we could create some speed and defense debuffing, and Dual Happy can give the Treachery status that will allow Osseous Trident to double up on the true damage. For premium builds, you can try to get a better self-buffing skill like Oath 4, Pledge, or even Insight. It's older, but menace skills could work too if you got those collecting dust. If you have Attack Oath Echo, you could run something like Defense and Res Pledge or Oath, and you'll get 3 field buffs. With Osseous Trident getting a decent amount of true damage, you can try to just stack more and be aggressive with his high attack. For a player phase setup, you could run Momentum for follow-up, true damage and instant cooldown, you can get extra mobility with Assault Troop, and with other statuses like Pledge's Breath type cooldown, Balthus could get 5 more true damage from Slice Dirty Blow. With one of the cooldown skills, Balthus could possibly proc Bonfire, Boulder, or Ignis on his follow-up. If you can get Boulder, that would give some % DR to stack with Osseous Trident's flat DR. This weapon can be fun for high damage initiations, but you are at risk of running into low effects without allies nearby. Unless Balthus can stay near his team, player phasing is a bit risky, especially if you're going to use things like +1 movement or warping skills to initiate. For a more defensive role, Osseous Trident works just fine with the standard Lagoon's Friend builds. We're stacking more true damage and flat DR, it's easier to get buffs from allies, and Lagoon's Friend can give cooldown to counter back with a DR piercing special. It also can charge a Boulder for its unpierceable 40% DR. You're going to need -1 cooldown to have it ready guaranteed, or you're just depending on the enemy to be proccing an instant special. You can use Quick Repulse as a seal to follow up, but after the first hit taken, Balthus doesn't have any more % DR. You may just want to end the fight immediately with a big counterattack. Finished kills can give extra true damage to try to finish the job off. While Osseous Trident ain't bad for this playstyle, Johanna Lance also fits the setup really well. Built-in damage reflection works nicely for a Lagoon's Friend DR piercing special counterattack. If you want to party up with Legendary Black Knight, you could get Reflex onto Osseous Trident, or you could double up on the damage reflection off Johanna Lance. That is a little silly if you want to try that out. For other skills, Balthus can run Spiked Wall for true damage, flat DR, and no guard. Bulwark 4 has 40% DR, but that can be pierced. If you're going to go focus on field buffing, Distant Bonus Doubler is fun, and Balthus can maybe get his speed up enough for something like Potent Finish. If you really want a speed build, that's probably the most interesting option to try and hit a faster enemy twice, or just get 3 hits on slower tanks. It can also add a hefty 15 true damage if you can charge a special. Speaking about cooldown, Balthus could run Infantry Pulse 4 to support his team. You could run that over Times Pulse. You can also stack more HP skills like Tier 4 boost skills or Squad A seals. Breath of Life 4 can be great for healing, and Tier 4 wave buffs are another option for Osseous Trident. In regards to arcane weapons, Cheong gives Omnibreaker and cooldown, which may benefit Balthus better than Lewin's no follow-up and speed focus. If we can get a third arcane lance, it most likely will have true damage, flat DR, and slang plus Pre-Impulse's instant cooldown. That would kinda just be a replacement of Osseous Trident, but you'll probably lose some true damage and flat DR potential in exchange for higher bonus stats, and you won't have to rely on field buffing. If we can get a defense version of Ice Wall, Balthus would be able to run these arcane lances with Lagoon's Friend. Unfortunately, we just have no idea when a third arcane lance will show up. It's been over 2 years since Arcane Lewin, and we're still waiting. In conclusion, the first Book 6 themed Tempest Trials has some cool rewards. Our first Link Secret Seal, a decent inheritable lance, and another lance infantry to add to the still relatively small group. Summer Balthus is decent, but if you want to focus on speed and defense, there are a couple options for you, and if you want to focus on defense and res, we got Nabata Hawkeye. For units with these awkward low 30 speed stats and higher defense stats, I am really hoping we get more things or similar effects like Frozen. If you want to ignore speed, you could just use a Brave Lance or some kind of Brave Attack Enabler. Intelligent systems don't want to add Brawling, but we can pretend the King of Grappling has his gauntlets with Brave hits. Tied for highest attack in the game for a Lance unit, Balthus can definitely put out some damage. We have a few Ninja Brave Lances he can use with pure player phase builds. You could also just load up on the true damage with Osseous Trident, stick on Emblem Erica, and let Balti go to work. That's all I got for this video. If you need more orbs for your summer banners or choose your legends, then you better get to farming. If you want the cooler, definitely not Ash, then maybe you want to start prepping for that as well. Thank you for watching, go get those rewards, and I will see you in the next video.